If you want to learn how to play rhythm and lead guitar like the greatest blues masters, then you're going to need to know some epic blues guitar chords. Why chords? Well, chords are the foundation. You can use them to play rhythm guitar, but you can also use them to unlock lead. You see, countless iconic solos have chords in them. They just straight up hit chords, or the notes in the solo come directly from chord shapes. And once you start understanding this, you can really unlock rhythm and lead anywhere on the fretboard. And these are things that I show students how to do in my programs on my site, like Essential Cage Guitar System and more. But in this video, I want to share with you 12 epic major blues guitar chords every guitarist should know. Now we're going to start off with chords that are more based around the open position, so down here, and they'll have open strings. Then we'll also get into some movable shapes later on. So let's get started with the first chord, and that's good old E7. It's a great blues guitar chord. You start with the open E string, then you have 2nd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret, 3rd fret, open string. So we're using all 6 strings, and it looks like a typical E chord, but you add that note D on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. Now, blues in the key of E is awesome. I mean, everyone from Hendrix to Eric Clapton to John Lee Hooker played the blues in E. And you may have heard, phrases like, right, where you hear that E7 chord in there. And so that's the first shape I want you to check out. The next one is the mighty A7, and this has been played by Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and a lot of actually more roots blues musicians like Mississippi John Hurt. We've got from the 5th string down, open, 2, 2, 2, 3. So we just do this bar here with the index finger, and then you could use your middle finger on that note G on top, or I a lot of times use my ring finger. It's just kind of a comfortable position for me. Either works. And what's great about this is you can actually reach up, and this can easily be turned into, what I call a long A chord here. So you can get these notes, right, from the blues scale right off of the A7. Now, before we go any further, I want to let you know that I've put all these chords together in a resource for you that you can get completely for free. Just go to johnmclennan.com/blues guitar chords, and you can download this right away, and you can follow along with these shapes and practice them on your own. Number 3 is another great open chord. This is a D7 here, played from the 4th string down, open, 2, 1, 2. And everybody from Blind Blake to Scrapper Blackwell use this D7. You could think of progressions like kind of old, almost ragtime sounding progressions where you get this cadence. You're in the key of C and you go D7, G7, C. You can also, Robert Johnson and Eric Clapton would do this cool move where you get this D7 chord, but you put the F sharp, so you wrap your fretting hand thumb over the neck and play the 2nd fret of the low E string. That's the note F sharp. So you have the D7 plus the F sharp in the bass. It's a nice variation on the D7. And if you think about this, it's really like your D chord, but you've only changed one note. You put this note down a whole step. But because I can't get that note like that, then what I do is I change up the fingers. See how that works there? All right, number 4, as I mentioned previously, many times that D7 chord will lead to a G7 in the key of C, or, in really any key. So the way to do this in the open position, using these open strings, is to play all 6 strings. You play 3, 2, open, 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 1. Okay? It's a very folk sounding chord, Again, you got that sort of D7, G7, C. A great song to check out for that, which I do have a lesson on my channel, is Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. It's originally written by Jimmy Cox, but you'll hear that D7 and G7C. You can also check out a song called Southern Rag by Blind Blake. Let's keep trucking along with number 5 here. This is a B7 chord. Okay, play this from the 5th string down. 2, 1, 2, open, 2. And if you're ever playing a blues in the key of E, you can do something like this and walk into that B7. This is a great 5 chord. And Stevie Ray Vaughan would use it all the time. Jimmy Reed, you get that sound there. And sometimes Stevie Ray Vaughan would just use the first 3 notes. He'd do that in other keys, right? If you want to make it movable, you just do those 3. But here is a great chord in open position. You could also do an advanced thing and get 2 there, like that with the middle finger, put the F sharp in the bass. That's a Robert Johnson move right there, and a lot of old blues musicians did that. So that's number 5. Number 6 is one of my favorite blues guitar chords, and I first learned it from T-Bone Walker, but Kenny Burrell used it a lot. The Allman Brothers used it. It sounds like this. So you've got the 2nd fret on the 5th string, 3rd fret on the 4th string, 2nd fret on the 3rd string, and pinky here on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So that's kind of the core chord, and a lot of times like Kenny Burrell would do that, he just, you know, that kind of blues sound there. Now the interesting thing is, the G is actually the root note, but you don't see it here. You actually see the B in the bass. So it's, you have to kind of envision the root note there. Now you can also get this bar on the top 2 strings, which is a little bit trickier, but you can do a lot of cool moves with that. And this one comes from T-Bone Walker. It's a dominant 9th chord. You also hear that in Stormy Monday, right? That kind of sound. Number 7 is sort of a continuation of this. This is the mighty 6th chord, the major 6th. And this is vital to a blues sound. A lot of guitar players overlook this one. Here, if we're playing from the 4th string down, it would go 5, 4, 5, 3. And the root is there on the high string. If you're savvy with this, you can put the thumb on the bass note there. But that's the core chord there, is G6. And you'll hear that when you see these slow blues moves, like, right? T-Bone Walker would use that chord a lot, and a lot of bass lines, right? Like Howlin' Wolf tunes would have bass lines like, right? So that's G, B, E, D, which is really the notes G, B, D, E, which makes up, you know, G, B. I don't have a D in this chord. I could put a D. Let's see. How would I do that? I'm not sure how I'd do it like that. I wouldn't normally play it like that. But the point I'm trying to make is the bass line that I just played uses the notes from the G6 chord. Number 8 is like Old Faithful. This is a movable dominant 7th chord. So it's like a typical bar chord, but you make it a dominant 7th. And you can move this all over the fretboard, right? Like here could be your G, C7, G7. Play a whole blues with just this one shape. Again, wherever you start that bass note, that's what chord it is. So I just played G7, C7, D7. That's what's great about that chord there. Now, if you don't want to go all the way up here, then number 9 is a movable dominant 7th, but with the root on the 5th string. So here was G7 with the root on the 6th string. Now you could play C7 like this, and that's from the 5th string down, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3. And that makes for a smooth transition from the 1 to the 4 chord. So you don't have to go, you can go and just shift right over. Number 10 is a simple dominant 7th, and this looks like a C chord. If you thought of your open position C chord, but you just add the pinky on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. Now, you get the notes of a C chord would be C, E, and G. But if you add the note B flat in there, then you get a C dominant 7th. Now when I play this chord, I'm not playing the low string or the high string. You could on C if you wanted to, but I like to make it movable. See, no open strings means I could play a blues. Again, just see that? Maybe. Again, that's a great chord. It just looks like a C. All right, number 11, we're gonna really start spicing it up here, and this builds on the T-Bone Walker, that dominant 9th that we already learned, but now we're gonna play it with a root on the 5th string, and that sounds like this. Oh, love this chord. And Stevie Ray Vaughan would use this. You know, he'd move it all over the fretboard. And Clapton used it too. Here I'm playing from the 5th string down, 7, 6, 7, 7, 7. So doing a little bar there. Sometimes players play it like this, without a bar. A 4-string version, and that's cool. I like getting the high strings in there. And T-Bone Walker would do all this, you know, or kind of different rhythms like that. I was once listening to an interview with B.B. King, and he was saying, oh, I learned this chord. I learned it from listening to T-Bone Walker. And then he played the dominant 9th. Now for number 12, we can expand on this dominant 9th. And we can do what I did there, where you get this pinky. It's like a pinky reach up on the 1st string to the 9th fret. So you get E, G sharp, D, F sharp, and then C sharp. So that's the root, the 3rd, the 7th, the 9th, and now the 13th. This is an E dominant 13th. And it's just a beautiful sound. And you can create little melodies. And you immediately have this real lush blues sound. So there you have it, 12 epic major blues guitar chords every guitarist should know. If you'd like to download the bonus PDF I created for you for this lesson, you can see all these chords in one place and get some extra notes, then go to johnmclennan.com/bluesguitarchords and grab that now for free as my gift to you. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you might like this one next.